Hello, and welcome to Business Matters, the show about people behind businesses that help make Tacoma a great place to live and work. I'm your host, Mike Wark, and today, in the Spotlight, we'll visit a business specializing in artisan tiles and design. Then it's on to Tacoma's Central Street for a peek at the growing Oakland Madrona Business District. And once again, Andrew Fry has some great advice, this time on the topic of hidden expenses, on this episode of Tacoma Means Business. And today, my guest is Leah Morgan, who's the founder of Tacoma Night Market. Welcome, Leah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You have an extraordinary story about a really amazing market that you've started. So tell us about it.
Starting in May of this past year, I decided to gather together some friends and then invite in a few more vendors that I had met over the years to kind of get together and have a slightly different market experience.
So when we talk about market, it's like what people refer to as farmers markets, where you have arts and craft vendors and food.
Yeah.
Your market's mostly arts and crafts.
Mostly arts and crafts. There's a little bit of food. There's some sweet treats.
And there's a bar.
There's a
and
bar.
There's music.
Yeah,
this is different.
That's kind of those are some of the crucial details when I decided to start doing this. Those were things that I kind of had been missing at other events.
Create an ambiance.
Yeah, and a big part of it was music. I come from a musical family, and so to be sitting in a room all day with no music started to drive me a little crazy. So I started bringing a boom box and having it at my own booth.
When you were at farmers market?
When I was at other events, and the vendors around me and the shoppers, they all sort of complimented the music and thanked me for having it.
Oh, market research.
Yeah, and so that was something where it was pretty clear that was something that made the whole experience feel a little bit better and kind of eased everyone. It sort of broke the tension. And
how many farmers markets do you go to where you can actually have a drink, a cocktail, or a?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. So far, this has been. Occasionally, I would bring mimosa fixings to other events and share those with my vendor friends. But ultimately, no, that was something I was not experiencing. And originally I thought maybe we could do a pop-up at a bar.
So you thought it was a pop-up at a bar. That's how you started. That was the initial idea?
That was sort of the initial idea, was like, how can we, I want food, I want music, I'd love to have a cocktail.
And all your friend vendors can come out and we can have a good time.
Exactly.
And maybe we'll sell more of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I've also was a bartender for 12 years and I noticed people's spending patterns when drinking.
So what you have now is one night a month, the first Saturday?
So it was originally the first Saturday of the month. When I switched locations back in November to Alma Mater, which is on 13th and Fawcett.
Right.
When I switched locations, they already had programming set up. So for a little while, we had to pick random Saturdays within the month. And it worked out really well around the holidays. And like Black Friday and Small Business Saturday in November were our first two events there. And it was the perfect time to introduce, to change locations and get everybody excited about the new spot. And so ultimately, for the first few months, we had to pick these random dates and then solidify a regular schedule. So now in Tacoma, it's the third Saturday of the month. Okay,
third Saturday.
Correct.
So third Saturday, you come to this great historic building, the Alma Mater.
Yeah.
And they've got the event space back there, and you have, 50 vendors?
Yeah, so I kind of take over their entire location.
Oh, okay.
I have, when you first enter, it's called kind of their gallery, their main entrance between Matriarch and Honey. So I have vendors throughout that space, vendors going into Honey Cafe, vendors outside, and then vendors in their big concert hall. Right. So that's sort of how
Which is flat?
Flat, and there's a few vendors and DJ up on their stage. So I had custom stairs made to to be able to access that from the front of the normally at a concert they would
from the back.
Yeah.
So for people who haven't been to the Alma Mater, you go in and to the left is a sizable bar and restaurant, and to the right is the cafe, and then you go through and there's this big event space. So you just fill it all up with vendors.
Yeah, I fill it all up with vendors. There's food. I have a DJ that the music is heard from the concert hall and outside.
And lots of people come.
Lots of people come.
It's really cool. So you started you got this idea, you started to put it together. Now you have Third Saturday, this really happening thing that people love.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
How did you get from the idea stage to actually taking the leap into trying it the first time?
Well, I definitely spoke with some friends that are vendors at other events and that I've known and wanted their feedback. So we all kind of had, some brainstorming sessions. And got together. I started looking at different locations to potentially host the event, and I found the original space down on Pacific.
A second floor sort of place where a bar used to be.
We did it on the first floor on Pacific Avenue. It's a 3-story building, and there's actually the second floor actually has access from Commerce. But I used the Pacific floor, which was their first floor. It also had a mezzanine, so there was this other upper area.
So it's kind of an available space.
Yeah, it was a space that I could rent and host the event as just this pop-up once a month thing. And at that point, I brought in everything for the bar, created a menu.
Because you're a bartender, you have the license.
Yeah. And then I hosted it as a fundraiser for nonprofits that were local and dear to my heart. And so each month, all of the bar proceeds I would donate. And then it's different now that we're at Alma Mater, which I don't have to worry about the bar, which in some ways I'm really grateful for, because that was a lot of work. Yep. But I still wanted to be able to have a fundraising aspect and a way that the event gave back to our community.
So how does that work now?
So we did a silent auction at one point. So I've donated booth space to different nonprofits. So I just sort of host them and welcome them to the event, where they can kind of share, what it is that they're up to, what their mission is, maybe sell some swag. And then I've also, we hosted a silent auction. And so that the fundraising part of it is something that I'm going to do now, that I'll kind of brainstorm with the organizations I work with and see what works best with.
So it'll evolve. When you come in to shop, you can also participate in these other activities that'll give back to the community.
Exactly.
So how many people come now a night?
Thousands. I mean, it's thousands for sure. It's hard to say exactly. At one of the events, we have 2 entrances, and at one of the events, within the first hour, in one entrance, 600 people came through, not including children, just counting adults. That's in great. 1 hour of one entrance.
So it's highly successful. And artists want to come from all over the region.
Yeah, they do. They come from Seattle. They come from Portland, Olympia. They really love the event.
But part of what they love about it is that you'd already created this great sort of feeling in the place with the local art scene, the community. There's a real community sense to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, I mean, Tacoma has a really, they're very proud of their community and of their town and the people that make it interesting.
And they really work together. And
absolutely.
They enjoy being together. And the other artists come in and say, this is really great.
Absolutely. They come in, they have a great time. They feel really celebrated at this event, which was definitely sort of at the core of like kind of my mission, was to give a platform to our creative community to showcase their stuff in a way that truly like honors how hard they work.
Right.
A lot of them are have other jobs, are parents, so their lives are already really busy and full, and they still have this fire to create something. And
what I think is great about this is that there is a great art scene in Tacoma for visual artists and people who make crafts and things like you do.
Yeah.
And this event sounds like a great way to get into some insight into that. Who they are, what they're doing, and get a sense for that. Yeah,
that's kind of the point, is that, I mean, a lot of these people also are showcased in different stores around the area and have Etsy shops and have websites. But the point is to come and connect with them and hear more about their story. And
over a drink and some good food.
Exactly.
So once you're successful like this, the challenge would be, and part of there's been some great articles, and one of them you talked about how people are telling you that you're able to select great people without making anyone feel left out. Part of it is this process, and that's got to be hard. The more popular you are, the more people what you want, and there's only 50 spaces. How do you do it?
Yeah,
What's your secret?
That's been something I'm a pretty sensitive person, and so that's something that I hold very dearly in my heart, and I want everyone to be successful. So I try to keep in mind their presentation and where the kind of the level of their work, and know that at this event that this stuff is going to do well. Not everyone.
And so far you've been successful with that. So that's fabulous.
Absolutely.
And we're almost out of time, so I'm a little curious. What's next? You've already started another one in Gig Harbor?
Yeah, so I got invited to start the Gig Harbor Night Market out at Seven Seas Brewery. And that's been a fantastic event so far.
Great partnership.
Yep, they are amazing to work with.
Are you going to do more?
I've been invited to start it in Olympia and Seattle. I'm going to see how these two events happen here and see if it's manageable, and then maybe take on more.
That's fabulous. Be sure to remind them that this all started in Tacoma.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
That's at the heart of it, for sure.
Well, I'm going to see you at one of your night at markets soon. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure our viewers will as well. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Stay tuned. After this, we're going to go to the Oakland Madrona Business District on District Focus. Connecting people to business is what Tacoma is all about. Quaint stores and great food make up this stretch of the South Tacoma Oakland Madrona Business District. Wrapped around established residential neighborhoods, this growing business community has plenty of heart and soul.
Hello, I am Tasia, and we are in the Oakland Madrona business area. As far as businesses go in the Oakland Madrona business area,
we have things from car lots to hamburger stands,
gas stations, and a few other small local businesses. So it's
lots of variety of businesses.
There's a need for a business district in this area, I think, to help continue to promote the growth healthily, as well as to improve the appearance of the overall district and see the business owners all pull together to create a business district.
The businesses here are thriving very fast. There's lots of passion and love for the businesses in this area. I believe the customers, what they value most is the community, how tight-knit the community is.
It's easily accessible from both Highway 16 and I-5. Center Street itself is a very busy main thoroughway. The convenience of getting to this location, I believe, is what our customers value the most.
My hopes for the Oakland Madrona Business District is that it continues to thrive, continues to grow.
I believe that our future looks promising and that eventually in the near future we will create a new business district.
And the love and support for this area continues, not only from the people in the community, but as well as people outside of the community.
If I could wave a magic wand, we would just make this whole area beautiful. We would landscape the streets up and down Center, paint the buildings that are vacant and have graffiti on them. Just kind of beautify this area and pull everybody together to create a sense of community for both the business owners and everyone who lives in this area.
For more information on experiencing Tacoma business, log on to experiencetacoma.com. When we return, Andrew Fry will be with us to share some tips about hidden business costs on Tacoma Means Business. Starting a business can be an economic adventure. Hidden startup costs can turn that adventure into a rough road. On this edition of Tacoma Means Business, Andrew Fry says there are ways of planning for these little financial speed bumps.
One of the things that new business owners confront is what are they going to do with the money that they're raising? And for the most part, everyone has an idea what they're going to do. They've already considered where that first initial investment is going to go, especially when they're self-funded. But when you make a list of all the things you're going to be spending money on, let me give you at least 4 examples of some potentially hidden costs in terms of expenses that you might encounter, especially as a startup. Well, first off, you want to wear many different hats. In fact, you have to when you're a small company, but don't wear hats you shouldn't be wearing. Number 1, put away some money for some professional consultation. And, depending on how much you need, it can be inexpensive or expensive, but understand that it makes sense to get a financial consultant to talk to and a legal consultant to go over things with. So financial and legal consultants oftentimes are a cost that you haven't considered yet when you're starting up your company. Number 2, your web presence. Any small business today must have a web presence. This is not a yes or no thing. You've got to have one. And in doing so, there's some costs associated with it that you should budget for. Your hosting costs, the website development costs. Now you can say, well, I'm going to build my own website, which is fine if it's very simple and you have the right tools. But if it's going to get any more sophisticated than that, you probably are going to need some help from a web professional, a web development professional. And then additionally, given that you are a small business, you might have to spend a little bit of money on protection of your site. In particular, if you're thinking about taking money off of your website, well then you better figure out ways to make certain it's secure and you don't mishandle any of your customers' data. A third expense that you may not be considering, insurance, sort of falls in line with the idea of protecting the website. You're going to need some business insurance, whether you have thought that one through or not, and there are different agencies you can go to talk to them about what kind of coverage you're going to need. But that is a startup cost that you're going to have to deal with. And then finally, how about hiring costs? Oh, I'm just going to hire my friend? I'm going to hire my relative? Or are you going to hire the best person for the position that you're hiring for? That can get a little bit more expensive than you imagine if you're going to also have to then post the jobs online, have someone review resumes, bring people in. What if the perfect person for your company is out of state? Are you just going to have them fly in for a chance at possibly working for a startup? Or are you going to have to maybe bring them up yourself? The cost of a dinner at least. So those are just 4 areas that you might want to think about in terms of when you're budgeting to start up your company.
Thanks, Andrew. For more ways on helping grow your business, check out Tacoma's Community and Economic Development Program at makeittacoma.com. When Business Matters returns, custom cabinets and handmade tiles are in the spotlight. Today in the Spotlight, we'll visit a business that specializes in custom designed cabinets and artisan tiles located in the Old Town Business District.
We're at Cupboard & Clay, and I'm Kayron Brewer.
Cupboard & Clay is a dream come true for Kayron. Her specialty is designing spaces to meet your needs and taste, using products produced by the finest custom vendors in home products from across the country.
Well, Cupboard & Clay is, of course, cabinetry and tile. The origin of the name really was inspired by Old Town. I started in the tile industry over 2 decades ago and really found a passion for handmade and unique painted tiles. And I've always had that dream of having my own little shop. And when I relocated to Tacoma a few years ago, I found this space and that dream came back to me and I decided to make it come to life.
Kayron's business plan taps into a carefully selected pool of artisan tiles and custom cabinetry. She knows her vendors and how they make their products, which is important. For example, fully understanding each tile's characteristics helps ensure her final design meets the client's unique vision.
I think the wide array of the products that we have and the different styles and things that you can create with each unique client, and also having the ability to help them design and be able to see, and envision their project.
Vendors are selected to support Cupboard & Clay's designs based on quality. This is not a do-it-yourself business.
I do definitely recommend that you have a professional for installation and also general contracting, and they're the ones that's really going to make it come to life, so it's important to have a good contractor as well.
From renovating a home in need of some tender, loving care to designing a new dream house, Kayron understands the full range of her clients' needs.
It really ranges everywhere from the first-time home buyer, young couple just starting out and starting their family, to someone that's maybe already, gone through their career and maybe entering into retirement and redoing a home. So we can do small projects and large projects.
An important component of Cupboard & Clay's business plan is collaboration with other design professionals.
Well, the business plan is really to serve not only homeowners, but also the design community, where I collaborate with other designers, builders, and architects in creating a project for them.
Kayron has a staff of 2, herself and Tristan, her assistant, who has been with the shop since the beginning. They both wear many hats.
We're also the bookkeeper, the marketing director, the designer, and technical specialist.
Looking to the future, Kayron feels it's important for Cupboard & Clay to maintain a strong community presence.
I think keeping Cupboard and Clay a small community-based specialty store, I think, is my vision for it. Of course, developing more tile lines and cabinetry lines that we can offer to client to give us a broader array of sources, but really keeping that neighborhood feel, I think, is important for our community.
And then there's that moment when the project comes together, where client and designer get to see the final design come to life.
That makes my day, really, being able to help them come up with a concept, and then when they send me photos or invite me to their home in the end and see the actual product, that is really what makes my day.
That's it for Business Matters. Join me next time for more insight into the Tacoma business scene. See you then.